So I think you're right. I feel the same thing. My mother told me once. My grandmother wound up. I wasn't till the second.
Thank you very much. There is peace, I know. There is also talk. So, thank you very much for being here. It's a very important day for us because we are going to talk about the upcoming election next week. So October 7th is the first round of the Brazilian elections, and then the second round will be at the end of October. If we get to the second round, most likely. So this is a part of a series called Global Political Perspective. And BJ wrote this very interesting title, A Crash Course on Brazilian Politics in the upcoming elections. So we have not even 1 hour, so it's going to be a super crash course. And so we hope that we'll certainly learn something, and then we can appreciate more the results of the elections and what will happen in the country. I am the director of the Duke Center for International Global Studies, and we organize with BJ from Polis and also with the International House the series. So this is the first this year. We had a couple of last year, and so stay tuned. I'm sure that you will get more invitations for future elections. So having said that, we have a very interesting group of panelists, and I will introduce them one by one. One is Poliana Pereira. She's a first-year Master of Public Policy student. She's from Brasilia, and she works for the Brazilian National Treasury. Thiago Miranda is a second-year MBA student at CUPA. He's from Sao Paulo, and he works at Google. And Eduardo Nunes is an economic major, a computer science minor, and he's from Rio de Janeiro, and he recently worked for a professional soccer club in Rio, Carioca. And then Bruno Pacola Moreira Fernandez is a master in LLM candidate. He's from Sao Paulo as well, and where he practiced law. And then we have Andrea Sierra Braga Costa, who is Finally, we have also a professor from the Sanford School of Public Policy, Marcos Rangel, who is from Brazil. And I know maybe doesn't like me to say this, but he voted in the first first presidential elections after nearly 20 decades of military rule. That was great. Vijay is in for that. So these Brazilian elections are particularly contentious since there are several candidates. There is Bolsonaro, who is the leader of the Social Liberal Party, Fernando Haddad from the Workers' Party, who stepped in for Lula, Ciro Gomes from the PDT, the Democratic Labour Party, Gerardo Alckmin, Brazilian Social Democracy Party, and Marina Silva Sustainability Party. given the fact that it's like the French elections, it's a two-round election, the two who will get most of the votes in the first round will get in the second round. So the first round, there are all these candidates. There are these, the poll, Bolsonaro is, I think, ahead in the polls, and second followed by Haddad, and then the others are below, only 15%. So this is what I can say, and now I would like to leave the floor to the different students and to Marcos to get feelings and information, and also if they can share with us what, since they're in touch also with people in Brazil, what their expectations are and how they see these upcoming elections, the impact on the country, whether one or the other candidates are going to win. And so I open the floor. Let's start with Marcos, who will just provide some.
We start with the old. Okay, all right. Well, what can I say? Yeah, it's complicated times for sure. I think one thing that I noticed that I can raise here is a level of polarization that I have seen through WhatsApp on groups from friends way back in school. That's something I didn't expect. I guess I'm too far from what is the action down there for too long now. But I was taken aback by how much people from the same type of background that work in the same schools sit on the same tables in bars, and they are going to the extremes of the spectrum here. They are going in different directions, and they are letting their guts drive their behavior and their speech way more often than I think should be the case. So I'm surprised by how people are reacting to the competition. But apart from that, I think those guys have a fresher perspective than what I have. So I would love to hear from them because they have those friends now discussing this topic.
So I will ask each one to talk a little bit, and then of course it's a very interactive event. So we expect, especially know that there are some other experts in this room, and so please step in and for comments, and then of course everybody could ask questions or just provide feedback with the panelists.
And if I may just add, I'm not a political scientist, by the way, right? So I'm not taking this from the perspective of political science and try to understand the whole process. I'm an economist by training, and I'm here because I'm Brazilian. That's the reason. And I'm old enough to tell other stories that these people know. That's it.
So Poliana would like to.
Yeah, I would agree with the polarization. I think since 2000.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So since 2014, we have been seeing this polarization since the past elections, and it has grown like dramatically. And people are like fighting over Facebook and WhatsApp with their friends over politics. That's pretty much what's going on there. And from my perspective, because I work at the Treasury, so for me it's like economy. We are seeing like bad times right now. Since 2014, kind of, the debt is rising. How to address the fiscal issues. So we would like to see someone more pro-market than we are seeing now. But anyway, I think either one that wins is going to have to address some very critical issues, because otherwise I don't know what we can do. But the polarization is absolutely incredible. Since 2014, now it's getting even worse, especially among those, especially regarding Bolsonaro. It's kind of, you either love him or you like hate him. So it's very, very polarized.
Thank you. And Thiago?
I was thinking, doesn't matter who wins, my feeling is that we're going to lose because the polarization is extremist. Both candidates that are leading the election, Bolsonaro was in our Congress for 30 years, and I think he didn't pass a law, he didn't change anything. And his party very, very small party. He doesn't have a lot of support on the Congress. And his speech is very strict. I wouldn't say that he's doing hard right, because in economy, we don't know what he thinks, like literally. He always say, oh, I will appoint a minister, a secretary of treasury, and they will decide. But he's very conservative in the values regarding abortion, same-sex marriage, a lot of other issues that would classify them more to the right. And the other candidate is Haddad, and he stepped in for Lula. And I don't know how much you guys are following the politicians in Brazil. Lula is actually in jail because we had a gigantic corruption scandal, and Lula was the former president, and he was convicted, and now he is in jail. And what happened with this scandal, and I think that's part of the polarization, all the parties were kind of seen as bad, and people wanted an outsider. More or less, like, many people who voted Trump here wanted an outsider, but it's kind of funny that Bolsonaro was in the Congress for 30 years, and he's presenting himself as the outsider. So this is the feeling that I'm having in Brazil.
Thank you. We will get back to that one because I think it's an interesting issue that, yes, there are several other kinds of populism we can talk about. Eduardo?
Yeah. Going off of that, I feel like people have definitely become a lot more passionate about politics, I think, and that's something you normally expect to be a good thing, but as the guys have mentioned already, it has really led to, a big polarization, as they said, and I feel like it's really interesting to notice, how the values of people who deem they prefer one candidate to the other are really contrasting. Talking about this pretty right-wing candidate, Bolsonaro, a lot of the people, thinking of voting for him are, males from 20 to, 35-year-olds or so. And obviously that raises kind of like ethical and moral questions, I think. Personally, I'm pretty young. I think I'm a sophomore here, and I've only really come into like actually having the responsibility to vote 2.5 years ago. But I feel like it's definitely some different times. I don't think I've ever seen anything like what we have now in Brazil.
And Ulo?
Yeah, well, I think I agree with. So I agree with all my colleagues here. It's really different times, new, interesting times at the same time. We are really polarized, and as Thiago told, I think Marcos also, Bolsonaro is a kind of outsider that has been in politics for 30 years in Brazil. He's leading the poll. Lula, which is in jail now, was leading the poll before being in jail. So the first in the poll is in jail. So the people who vote in Lula is a kind of angry with that, and Bolsonaro, for the other side, has the opposite. Is also people that voting him is really angry against the Workers' Party. So, and Workers' Party has been for the last 16 years in power. So it's a kind of interesting also the speech of the Workers' Party now, because they say that they need to be elected to change to change this current situation of the country, to get better situation. But actually, despite the last 2 years that was Temer, the vice president of Workers' Party, president that assumed after Dilma's impeachment, the Workers' Party has been in power for the last 16 years. So this polarization is getting people really passionate and less rational in general. But I think that we are in a really critical moment, that the results of these elections will be crucial for the future of Brazil. But it's just why.
And
continue a little bit about how the elections are looking like right now. We had this polarization in Brazil. Had a lot of people. They're like more lefty, and they like more socialist governments, and they've been living under the Workers' Party government for like the past 16 years, and they thought that was probably a very good government. And there are people that are really like upset with all they did in the past 16 years, and they're more like right wing, and they're going to Bolsonaro. And a lot of people maybe were not this much polarized, and they were going towards a more like central candidate. But now that the TV, the political guys are going to TV and showing their programs, especially the guy from the Workers' Party has a lot of TV time, and he's walking to Lula's spot because Lula is in jail, and he's getting a lot of he's rising really a lot in the polls. So I actually thought we would have like Bolsonaro against someone more like central, like not really extremo in the spectrum of politics. But now it looks like the Workers' Party is getting a spot in the second round with Fernando Haddad. So I'm not really sure what's gonna happen now, because we are gonna have like two like extreme sides of this Brazilian politics spectrum going for the second round. Like both sides have a very large rejection rate among people. Like they have people who love them, people who hate them, and I'm really not sure what's gonna happen. If we had something more like I would say not super like socialist and not like super conservative, they would probably get a lot of votes in the possible second round because of the rejection of the other candidate. But now we're gonna have the two most rejected guys going into the second round, so I have no idea what's gonna happen, and I'm somewhat scared. So let's see.
Thank you. So, I want to ask just one. So, because of course the two-round system, it's true, polarization in the past have been obtained by this system, so generally the centrist candidate was going to, at least whoever was going to able to attack. But do you think that based on what you're hearing from your friends or colleagues in Brazil, that this time someone like the extreme as Bolsonaro could be also the second round? I mean, speak of colleagues.
I think that goes back to the level of anger. I think there's a level of anger that's making people going to extremists. Brazil has a tradition of using the vote protest quite a bit. So in my times, people would vote on the monkey from the zoo and write the end as the monkey of the zoo as their candidate to signal how unhappy they were with the political system. There's something like that going on again, but now picking the extremes and saying, oh, you know, I really want to show that I'm angry, and I'm going to pick this candidate that's really far. Even if I don't believe everything is being said or everything he represents, I still want to show people that I'm angry. So I think there's a bit of that. And that's, I think, is the scary part. There's some level of irrationality in the process here that I can perceive from a distance. So that opens room for someone that in normal times would not show up there. So I think there's pretty much a shot at this point. I do think that Haddad is coming out of nowhere basically because he's being killed by Lula. Once Lula was definitely out, he's just inheriting on some of those votes. He's going to benefit from the time on TV. Again, it's important to, for those that do not know, time in TV is regulated time. That is affected to how many candidates or how many people in the Congress represent that party. So it's basically proportional to whatever they have in Congress. So if he is well represented there, they have more time on TV. So, and actually that signals a bit to what is coming after, right? Because Bolsonaro will not have a lot of Congress, and that's what you can see with little time at this point. To go. For those that do not know, I think we forgot to mention that Bolsonaro was the stab on the campaign trail, right? So for those that are not looking at it at all, is in the hospital recovering for being stabbed on the campaign trail. There are people that say that helped him, and there are people who said that he is not showing up as much as he was showing up before, so he's losing some momentum there. But it's unclear what's going to happen. I think there's still a shot. It's pretty clear that the other guys are not finding the right tone on their campaigns to be competitive, and time is running out, right?
So, since you mentioned time on TV, and as we know from other elections, right, nowadays social media play a major role, whether they are influenced or not by foreign forces. But what, again, since you are in touch with other young voters, do you feel that the TV time is relevant, or nowadays social media play a larger role supporting for certain candidates? And who among the candidates is there a particular candidate who either using these new platforms?
I can speak. I think TV always was the main media in Brazil for the elections, and the time on TV is divided for the size of the Congress, right? According to the size of each party, its candidate has more time on TV. But Jair Bolsonaro, the leader of the poll now, I think his party is really small, so he would have, I don't know how much time he has on TV, but he has like less than 10%, I think.
Yeah,
It's less than 1 minute on TV, and he's the leader. So I think we can see at least one concrete data that social media has some impact.
I think Bolsonaro's popularity has a lot to do with social media throughout the past years, not just like this year, but he has been viewing himself as like as the extreme outsider. Things like the impeachment
And using the social media a lot.
Yeah, and always going like in the Congress to like have very strong talks when you get a chance to talk, and that brought a lot of people to the side. And social media amplified all that. Like everyone got to see how he was like dealing with congressman, how extreme was his opinion, and people who were like super upset with politics at all found him as a representative of their ideas.
I think that's also back to like the demographics. You know, who are the people that use the most social media? People, young people, maybe in their late teens and 20s, 30s maybe. And again, he does appeal a lot more to these types of people. And going back to that question, if it is possible, I definitely feel like it is, because we're talking about the polarization, but of course, like there's a lot of people that would much rather have a more centrist, more down to earth candidate. We can say that, but there is a candidate that a lot of people would love to support, which is João Amoedo. He's a candidate from a new party that's coming up. He's an entrepreneur. The guy's never been in politics, and a lot of people express the will to vote for him, but he has 1% or so in the polls now. So I feel like people just don't believe it's possible, so they won't. And I feel like once it does come to to the second round, there will be a lot of voting like not because you like this candidate, but because you dislike the other one. So if you hate what has been going on for the past 16 years, and you might not agree with all that Bolsonaro proposes, you're still going to vote for him, and the same thing the other way around.
Can I add one more thing? Just one more thing is that Geraldo Alckmin, which is the candidate of one of the most traditional parties in Brazil, which is PSDB, he has like less than 10% of the intentions of votes, and he has more than 50% of the TV time. So there's one more reason that social media has found. It's really powerful.
So thank you.
Hi, well, my name is Rangel. I'm a professor at the Federal University of São Paulo, and I'm an anthropologist. So I'm kind of impressed with the kind of approach that all of you took to the issue, because clearly it seems that the dichotomical situation that is imposed by the electoral system, in the sense of two candidates passing to the second round, affects how we perceive the candidates. And saying that you have Haddad is extreme left and Bolsonaro is extreme right is very, very inaccurate. So extreme left is Bolos. So, and if you talk to leftist people in Brazil, most of them departed from the PT some time ago, and they have been departing and connecting to parties like PSOL that is growing a lot, right? So the Workers' Party is not quite the extreme left, and it has not been extreme left for many, many, many years, right? Cátia Abreu was a minister. So what kind of left is this? So it's nonsense thinking that Haddad is extreme left. So we should be careful about this. And the second thing is the idea that everybody is angry, everybody is irritated, and people are divided, and this is too emotional. Well, if you rationally analyze the agenda of Bolsonaro, you get angry. So it's a rational outcome being angry with Bolsonaro, right? So you kind of say, well, the situation is divided. The Economist said that Bolsonaro is the most dangerous thing that can happen to Brazil now. So it seems that the economists don't quite agree with the way you were framing the thing. And I would like to hear what you have to say about this. Now, the idea that Haddad is coming from nowhere is also nonsense. He was a minister of Lula, Minister of Education. He was the mayor of the largest city in South America, São Paulo, a prize-winning mayor. And he was kicked out didn't get the re-election because he built so many bicycle lanes in São Paulo, which reduced the parking places for the elites, that the elites were so angry that there was a lot of campaign against him. He was going to Germany to get prizes for the kind of program that he did, and the local Paulista elites were angry with him. And the kind of things that you see that infuriates part of the Brazilian elite is something like the quota system that you see in all American universities. So, copying American public policies for addressing inequality is seen in Brazil as being socialist. If someone suggests something like the public educational system here, it will be considered to be Soviet, right? So what I'm saying is that it seems that some more historical background will help us to make sense of the situation.
I don't, if you allow me, I think you're reading too much into what some of us are saying, right? So it's not that we are clearly stating that they are indeed seeking the extremes of this. I think some of us even mentioned here that, well, the policies from Bolsonaro are not even clear that they make sense in economics terms, right? So I think what is being expressed by the students here is really that they are seeing this as emerging as a discourse out there that these people see at the extreme, right? And I think we can agree that that's a discourse that is emerging. It doesn't mean that it's a reality. So I totally agree with you there. And for those that are used to the American politics, the spectrum of right and left in Brazil is very different from the left and right in the U.S. too, right? So it's hard to put this in the same ruler. But I don't feel that people here are really trying to push this as being the right way to think about it. I think we are, when we were invited to sit here and talk about, we are asked to give us our impressions, how things are going. We are not here analyzing what exactly are the elements, right? I think I welcome your perspective, and I think we are learning, and that's the objective here. We are learning from this discussion of what is going on.
Just a moment, okay. Because that's a question.
I just want to say that I totally agree, and I appreciate your consideration because it was really important. I think we didn't go too deep to explain the spectrum from left to right in Brazil. So, and of course, I agree with Marcos. We are here like to say our impressions. So our impression, our personal impressions, as discussing of our friends and all this kind of thing. So I think it was really important to explain that we keep also discuss some points, some things that we said. I think it's really important also.
Just to clarify they coming from nowhere, from Haddad. Haddad is in some part of the country, he's called Andrade, like the wrong name. People don't really know him. And then out of nowhere, he had like 40% of the intentions when he was nominated. And now he grew in 2 weeks to 20%. I don't know, it's less, 22%. So in a national spectrum, like Alckmin tried running for the second or third time. Bolsonaro came out of nowhere.
Bolsonaro never had executive
Yeah,
experience.
never had executive experience. So that's the out of nowhere. Like just short amount of time, he could jump. He was a minister, he was a mayor. But imagine if people didn't knew his name, and in 2 weeks he's going to the second round. He can be the president.
Yeah, I appreciate like the clarifying the situation, because yeah, we didn't address it, how the spectrum really works, but I feel like we all can agree that they are indeed very contradicting opinions, and that's the main basis of our argument, or what we're trying to tell you guys here. They might not be the super far left or super far right, but they're very contradicting. And you know,
second round, right?
Yeah, exactly. And going
Bolsonaro and that they'll be right and left.
off of the, but you know, it's not necessarily. You mentioned the the quota system, like affirmative action that you guys have in the U.S. I don't think that's that's a huge generalization in my opinion. I probably got into this university in part because of that, because I come from Brazil and they're looking for people from South America or from Brazil, whatever. And I don't feel like you can. Obviously, that was like one example, but I don't think you can generalize simple things like that and how they will constitute someone's moral and political opinions, in my opinion.
It depends on the part of Brazil. In São Paulo, yes.
So can I move? We have several questions, so unless it's something
Because it's the same question. I think it's important to clarify also. Sorry. I personally have some sympathy for him because he's like, as you explained, Workers' Party is not from the extremely left. He's a kind of center, right, nowadays. But he was São Paulo mayor, and he was the first to lose a re-election in São Paulo. I'm just saying that because he ran for the re-election, he lose. So you explained that it was because of this cyclone, but I'm not sure. You also generalize that. That's what I'm going to explain. But the thing is, he lose the re-election was the first time, and now he's in second place in the poll for the presidential elections. So it's a phenomenon, interesting phenomenon. Yes, 2 weeks.
Sorry.
So I have two questions. Did you put in your...
No, it's you. I was telling him later.
Okay. In the time that we were in Brazil, we noticed very deep schisms in Brazilian society, and we spent some time in São Paulo, and in Rio. And I wonder, social, economic, and racial schisms, very deep. And you find people on one side who don't know what is going on the other side. So I wonder if this polarization might be just inevitable, given the history and the circumstances of Brazil. And my other question is, do you think that where you lie on that spectrum, the social, economic, and racial spectrum, influences who you vote for?
Who would like to answer? Thank you for that. Who would like to answer?
I think it's a really good question because it explains where you're coming. Explains a lot of our political and social system and conditions of Brazil now. Brazil, we have like 200 million people. On this election, we will have a kind of 143 people voting. In Brazil, the vote is required, so it's not here as in US. Everyone must vote. It's an obligation. At the same time, we have now, I think, 50%. No, I'm sorry. 50 from 200 million people, 50 million people is above the line of poverty. which is above the line equivalent is a kind of $5 per day. It's less than they live with less than $5 per day. Okay, so in Brazil, I think my opinion at least, I can affirm that the social difference has a lot of influence, and where people are like poor, they has a different nature of voting of the other social, I don't know, classes.
If I just wrap up on the racial issue, I think that's very clear that Brazil has not faced its racial issues for too long, right? In part because for a long while, I think the belief around was that we lived in a racial democracy, we didn't care about that. But any analysis of hard data will tell you that the gaps between Afro-Brazilians and white Brazilians is as large as in this country. Right? If you just take a comparison of wages per hour on the two countries, they are the same size. The difference is of the same size, despite this perception that Brazil is way more welcoming of the mixing of races and all that. So I think that's there. It's clear that the system has operated in a way that has favored some and unfavored others. And I think that's, as you said, it's bound to come up and show up in this polarization that we are talking about. I sincerely do not know how much of this is coming from the racial issue itself. But it's definitely the right question to ask.
So the data from the pool shows like Bolsonaro has more support in the higher incomes, and Haddad as the second candidate has more support in the lower incomes, and also in the Northeast, that is the region that we have less development.
Jeff, I think I should show for full disclosure and tell that I work for Haddad as a consultant at the Ministry of Education for some time. So it's better. I better make that clear. So, and I have a good impression of my interactions with him, by the way.
Good.
So, Gustavo.
Sure. The idea of 16 years in power, that it has been in power for 16 years, as they mentioned, right? I think it needs to be contextualized a lot for an introductory sort of forum, because Brazil, as we know, has many political parties, and none of those parties that might win the presidency in the past, since '85, really PSDB and PT, are going to have the majority in Congress. So this power is really, really contextualized and filtered by the formation of Congress. And so it becomes very, very difficult to govern, and that's why the PT lost the left. The PT does not have the support of the real left in Brazil, because they made alliances with PMDB. They would with PSDB right now if they were willing to. So it's really not, that logic doesn't really apply. And I think the real question is why for 16 years no other political party manages to win the presidential election. It's just a presidential election. This is not Congress. It's the only election where you boil down the issues of the country to a few understandable talking points. Like the congressional election is incomprehensible in Brazil. It's incomprehensible. The presidential election, you actually have positions that are taken regarding taxation, investment, education, etc. And PT wins every time. And each time they win, some sector of the right seems less willing to accept democratic results. Like people who vote for Bolsonaro, who's one of the ways in which he gathers the focus of the media is by praising the dictatorship, right? Can a supporter of such a candidate honor an election result that is not to their liking, right? So it's sort of, I think the real question is why don't we have an alternative that wins majority vote in the only election that issues are understandable in Brazil?
I would wait to answer just because I want to collect two more things. You want to say something?
Corruption scandals have been part of Brazilian history for a long time. Fernando Collor, others. Do people really care about corruption, or are they displacing their anger or disappointment or other thoughts onto this very simple issue of corruption? And if so, what are they angry about? And I guess a related question is, why were two of the most popular and significant politicians on the left in Latin America of the past 20 years, why were they able to be brought down?
I want to add some more information and I can try to answer at least. The second question, I think it's difficult to answer, but I think the first, just give more context. Brazil is really important to explain, because Brazil is really difficult to explain also, of course. Not for beginners. In the elections, we elected a clown, a real clown, Tiririca. He's a real clown for his job, and he was the most Congress, I think
One of the most voted, the second most voted.
first or the second in the elections, right? So this can show how people sometimes vote for protests in Brazil, I think at least. And so what was the first question? Can we,
Bring context to like the 60 years.
okay.
No, I think Gustavo's point is very important to think about, what that government represents, and counting those years is not really justice to what actually happened. But if I may just take a tangent there, and what I think is, what I'm not seeing from my interactions with Brazilians down there, is that I have not seen people discuss who they're going to vote for to Congress. I have not seen people spend time thinking about that. And I think that's very dangerous, right? So we are spending too much time talking about presidential election, and we are not thinking through what Congress is going to do, right? What Congress, who we elect to Congress, will represent whatever happens after this, right? And I think that's a danger. That's scary from my perspective, and we should be talking more about that.
Just to collect,
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Carlos. I'm a second-year MPP here at Sanford. I think the question for me was also the corruption, but a wider point is, it seems like there's no issues being debated other than the personalities of these characters, and there are, so as I understand, some really deep-seated problems with Brazilian, the economy, where you're moving forward, and this is all sort of thrown to the wayside because of the polarization, and you can't. In your opinion, what are some of those issues? Would something like the corruption scandals, even yesterday or 2 days ago, something like $900 million that were levied against, a fine was levied against Petrobras, would that continue in terms of the corruption and some of the other bigger issues? Who would address them? Because if these people get elected and there's no party anyway, then we're just going to have dysfunction for the next 4 years, it would seem, and I'm wondering what those would be.
And I think from the perspective of economics, right, so I think Poliana mentioned that briefly, right, so both candidates would represent part of the issue that we're facing is that the state was too present on the economy for the country, right, the action of the state was the main engine to produce growth and development, and I think that's reasonable to say that happened even before that, even during the PSDB government, that was actually true. So Brazil has this way of operating the economy that has state involved in too many actions. I don't think Bolsonaro or any other option will change that quite dramatically. To a certain extent, the branding of Bolsonaro is really as a nationalist, is interested in the government having a role in the development process, a direct role in that. So if you think about the deficit and the government, the debt and all that, and how much is coming from, what needs to come from adjustment of the government side, I think we're bound to have troubled times no matter what happens, right? So the issues are there, and certainly true, I agree with you, there's no one out there setting what they're going to do about what are the legal issues, at least on the economic side.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really matter who wins, they're going to have to address that because, like, for example, pension system is like pretty much essential, and the debt is like reaching 80% of GDP, which is pretty high for like a developing country if you compare with our peers. that also comes to the Congress because, for example, pension system reform needs to go through Congress, and like historically, these negotiations is like very complicated to happen. And if you have President Bolsonaro, even if he's willing to do the reform, if he does not have support from the Congress, that's going to be very complicated. So yeah, like the debt, pension system, fiscal side, it's really, really complicated.
This kind of feeds in the corruption because the president is elected and he doesn't have a support from the Congress. So he nominates people from the parties to the ministries, secretaries, and also to the public companies. And then the corruption starts, and the president, who is re-elected again, he has to build support from the Congress, so he has to nominate people from the Congress that everybody knows that are there and they're really rich because of corruption, and the cycle continues.
Just a comment before Floyd.
So, my question is, so looking at the polls right now, we're left to the next week, so everything can happen still, but it seems like it's going to be Bolsonaro and PT, and then probably PT is going to win. And I don't want to discuss this specific issue, but if PT wins, what do you think, what are your opinions on what's going to happen in the geographical regions where PT is very hated nowadays?
I'm not jumping on that.
I don't think it's going to be that bad.
I don't think nothing. I don't think
I don't think people will go on the streets and like set fire.
Oh, the younger optimistic.
I have a comment and a question. The comment about that is, you know, the Brazilian population saw their savings being sequestered, and nothing happened. For less than that, the Argentinian population set the Congress on fire in 2001. So I don't think nothing is going to happen, except that, you know, Sunday family lunch will be unbearable. Perhaps, yeah, so already really cannot discuss politics with my grandparents. But the question I want to make is this: about it seems that, you know, it's taken as a given. I'm not from this institute, so I may come from a different paradigm. But it seems that liberalism is a virtue in itself, right? So, or neoliberalism, as we can call. So, I mean, it's despite of all the troubles that the last 50 years saw in Latin America with neoliberalist reforms, what I want to ask you is that it seems that the only and you can correct me because I'm not good with those numbers, but it seems that the only moment in recent Brazilian history in which there was a slight change in the level of inequality was a very bold government action called Bolsa Familia that would not be produced by the market in any way. So I want to know how you think that the market or the liberalization will deal with the issue of inequality in Brazil, inequality that puts Brazil in the top of the world rank in terms of being the most unequal country in the planet.
So, Rangel, again, I don't think any of us here is defending any specific agenda. It's, what I try to represent is that I think it's factual true that the government in Brazil is involved in more economic activities than in other places. I do not claim that is worse or better than anything else. I just say that we need to understand that if we want to face the challenge going ahead, right? I just want to make that clear, right?
Just to again put that into context as well, Bolsa Familia started when the economy was in a much better situation as well, right? So we must take that into consideration, and that now we're in a very different scenario. I honestly don't have an answer to your question. I don't think any of us here do. What I can definitely see is inequality growing even further. If I had to come up with an answer, that would probably happen. And you know, I'm not qualified enough to say what should be done for that to drop. Sorry, but I think putting things into context is a very good thing to do.
I just wanted to say that, of course, no one dreams that you can manage a country without fiscal balance. That's not the point. The point is, to what extent economic history, and I don't know much about it, demonstrates that liberalization deals with inequality in an effective way, or to what extent we do need the state addressing.
I don't believe that liberalism would be a good choice for like Brazil as an agenda. Although I kind of think that it's maybe good for the country to have a little like part of the Congress that shares some of these beliefs, that kind of like try to come up with a couple like specific things that might be good for the economics as a whole, that might sound very like liberal. But I think the main agenda of the president of Brazil has to be some more like centrist, and at the current time someone that can get a good respect in the Congress, that is not like extreme. Like I don't think Bolsonaro will ever have any kind of like good interaction with the Congress. I think the left, like PT, as you said, is not an extreme left, and I think they did a very good job dealing with the Congress in the first years of the government of Lula. But I'm kind of like not sure whether they're gonna have a very good time nowadays, because the Congress is way more conservative, and there is over those like past years, like those corruption scandals, impeachment, they all made like they look much more extremist again, as they like not as they were before. And so that's why I kind of believe that someone more central with maybe a little bit of liberal ideas would be a better choice. I'm not sure. Just that's my opinion.
So, you want to say something about it?
No, I just want to add also, it's such more a deep question, of course, right? So I think Latin America has a lot in common, all the countries of Latin America. I'm not sure how much liberalism, at this point I'm not sure if I agree, how much we were liberal in some things. We always had a state really powerful in Brazil. We still have, I think the most, if you analyze which is the highest paid job in Brazil, would be like a government work, a public work. No, but of course not considering the executives in the highest companies, which are like nothing, like 100 people in Brazil. But I mean, the state's really powerful, it's really big in Brazil. The inequality still exists and has been raised in the last years. So I think my opinion, like I'm here to give everything, to everyone, my impression is that as a developing country, we need a state, we need policies to develop. We have a poorness problem, it's really serious. I don't think that in these elections, people are looking to the poor people again. I have the impression that the politics in Brazil, the politicians didn't learn, because they don't look and a proof that Lula always had his electors in Northeast since always, and still has. Doesn't matter what happened, he still has for them, you know. So I think we have still a really big problem, and we need to look for that, and we need to solve that if you want to grow as a nation, you know, if you want to live the dream of being the future, the nation of the future, as we always heard since always, you know.
Just with a final consideration, like I'd say, all of what we debated also brings up a lot of questions on should the vote be mandatory. That's something that I've always thought a lot about. You know, we take the U.S. as an example, it isn't. And sometimes I think if I'm even qualified to go there and vote, you know, and that's why I asked this question. I feel like, you know, it's very easy to manipulate people and to easily affect them to vote one way or another. In a culture where, yeah, unfortunately we have huge inequality and a lot of undereducated people, and you know, even I'm saying, like, I'm at Duke and I don't think I have that much of a better thought on voting. So just a question I'd like to raise: should the vote be mandatory or not?